Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Gukarastvandhakaro Vai Rukarastanivartakaha Andhakara Nirodhitvad Gururitya Vidiyate. Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam. Verse number 2. Sangatsatsu vidhiyatam Bhagavato bhaktir drudhadhiyatam Shantyadih parichiyatam drudataram Karmasu santyajyatam Sadvidvanupasrupyatam pratidinam Tatpaduka sevyatam Brahmaikaksharamarthyatam Shrutishiro Vakyam samakarnyatam. So transition from a life activity which was characterized by karma yoga or by the life of a grihastha or a householder to transitioning to sannyasa or life of renunciate. There is a stage in between called the vanaprastha, meaning the stage of the forest dweller, meaning that you need some transformation or transition from activity all the way to contemplation. It's not easy to right away become, from an active person, right away you cannot become a renunciate. And so here is a step in between as to what preparations are required to not only become the renunciate but to benefit from the life of a renunciate. And so we said here, we were told, number one, Drudataram Nijagruhat Turnam Vinirgamyatam. May you disconnect yourself from the worldly life now. Meaning that you can reduce your engagements and commitments Otherwise, in India, typically, people expect you, somebody is sick and go to hospital, lots of things are expected out of you. Somebody is getting married, and all kinds of functions are there. And so you can slowly excuse yourself from all those engagements. External engagements, slowly then family members want you to do this, then birthday party today and that. Disengage from all that stuff, slowly and slowly. You've done enough of it. And so, so there is disengaging from the worldly life and engaging into the religious or spiritual life is Sangha Satsuvidyatam. That may you deliberately court the company of the wise and the learned and the holy people who can be your role model, and the association with whom by osmosis also you'll be able to invite some qualities from them, and with their close association will learn from them also and inspire to be like them as well. With satsanga bhagavato bhaktir drunadhiyatam, you are already a devotee, but then may you become an unswerving devotee of the Lord. Then let there be avyabhicharani bhakti. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna prescribed the 20 values. One of them is bhakti avyabhicharani, unswerving devotion for the Lord. So understand that Vedanta always talks about bhakti as a preparation for knowledge. The difference between the teachers of Vedanta and teachers of bhakti is that the bhakti acharya or the teachers of bhakti, they place knowledge as a means of bhakti, and the Vedantic acharyas place bhakti as a means of knowledge. But both of them recognize the need for both bhakti as well as knowledge. Devotion in the heart, which shows the maturity of the heart, and knowledge, devotion, maturity of the intellect, the understanding. But here, bhakti comes first. As we say in the morning, that you should be devoted to what it is that you want to know. Then only you can be single-pointed on the object of knowledge. Like a scientist is single-pointedly committed to what it is that is investigating, so also a student of Vedanta is single-pointedly committed to Ishvara, who is the object of knowledge here. In this particular instance also, as we say, Ishvara is a conscious entity, not an inert thing, Therefore, he also responds, meaning that your devotion also receives a response in terms of the grace of Ishvara. As though Ishvara or Bhagavan also is always ready to bless the devotee. Bhaktanukampinam devan, one always shows anukampa or compassion towards the devotees. Tesham yovanukampartham aham ajnanajam tamah nashayamyatma bhavastaha jnanadipena bhasvata. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that when I see that this devotee is totally committed to me, he serves me without any expectation at all. Tesham satatayuktanam bhajatam pridipurvakam, that they worship me out of love without any other agenda. The Lord Krishna says, what should I do? When the bhakta does not ask anything from me, then what should I do? He says, I give myself to them. If they ask a limited thing, I give them a limited thing. If they don't ask me, I give the limitless, which is myself. Buddhiyogam dadamyaham, I give them the knowledge. Meaning, as out of compassion towards them, I, who is seated in the heart as their own self, manifest myself light the lamp of knowledge and reveal my true nature. So that's how Bhagavad Gita describes how it is Lord who reveals himself in the heart of the devotee. Shantyadi parichiyatam. Then, now the finishing touches with our mind. This person already enjoys a very mature mind, certainly enjoys a great tranquility, but then finishing touches. Shantyadi by pratipaksha bhavana. Any kind of a tendency that disturbs my mind, that tendency is arising on account of taking a certain position. Taking deliberate opposite position will neutralize that tendency. I get angry upon a certain person because I look upon him as a guilty person. Somebody has deliberately hurt me. I get angry upon someone who I think has deliberately hurt me. If I realize that somebody has not been deliberate in hurting, I don't mind, I'm able to, overcome that. I know it did not mean that. As we were walking yesterday, there was one woman who was walking fast and her, I think, little bag must have perhaps touched the foot of the other person. I'm sorry. Says, no, my fault. That person says, Meaning that I came in your way. That's the way of saying. It's a way of perceiving. What are you? Don't you see proper? Don't you talk? Don't you think? Don't you see? I'm walking here. You can also say that. Or you can say, no, it's my fault. So, everything is calm and quiet. Otherwise, even if you don't say, still you feel that this woman is careless, she doesn't care, doesn't realize that I'm walking here and she, her bag has, hit me. It's my fault. So, I get angry at a person when I judge that person as the one who has deliberately hurt me. So when we realize that nobody deliberately hurts, whoever hurts is pressurized to hurt. When I hurt somebody by my words or my actions or thoughts, then it is not a deliberate action on my part, it is a reaction on my part arising from pressure within myself. Something pressurizes me to say things. Something pressurizes me to think in a certain way. Something pressurizes me to act in a certain way. So if you look at the person behind that hurtful behavior, we find that it is not a deliberate action on the part of that person. Something has pressurized that person. Meaning that the person is helpless. A person who is angry is a helpless person. A person who is hurtful is a helpless person. Or whether I am jealous, any kind of a negative tendency, jealousy out of helplessness, that is, I am not deliberate. Meaning that my free will does not come into play when I am angry, when I am jealous, I am hateful. It's something within me, psychologists we call it unconscious, subconscious, whatever I want to call it, something within me that pressurizes me. Meaning that a person is helpless. As I said, nobody deliberately hurts me. Swami, you don't know. These fellows are planning to hurt you, and they deliberately do that. She's been working on it for a long time and looking for an opportunity, found an opportunity, and said this in the right moment to hurt me. But even when he deliberated for a long time, even when it is premeditated, that premeditation also is out of pressure only. Why did that person meditate? It's a premeditated action of shooting somebody, a deliberate action. But we would think that even that also may be premeditated and may be deliberate as far as that state of mind of the person is concerned. But that is still out of some pressure. Either because he is going to get some $1 million out of hitting somebody, or he is settling some score or something or the other. Some kind of an agenda is actually pressurizing him to do this. Otherwise, if we are in our right mind, we would never want to hurt anybody. A human being is, a core person is a kind, loving person. That's what you and I are. If we are ourselves, we would never be cruel. and never be hurtful. So when I am cruel, I am not that core person. Something pressurizes me to act in a manner which is quite opposite to my nature. That's why I do that. Thus, if you look at the person behind the behavior, then even behind an aggressive and hurtful behavior, we'll find a helpless person. So, why did I get angry? He has deliberately hurt me. But I realize that he's not deliberately hurting, he is hurting out of pressure or compulsion. Then that force of anger necessarily subsides. This is one example of what we call pratipaksha bhavana, where anger is replaced by kshama or kindness, forgiveness. And like that, there is a tendency opposite of every negative tendency, there is a positive tendency. Jealousy. Why am I jealous? Because certain person, I am more deserving and he still got more promotion, he went ahead of me, and somebody makes progress, somebody goes ahead, and I feel bad. But Swami said, why should a person feel jealous? He did he gained promotion. Why should we feel unhappy? Inexplicable. That's what happens. That there is a burning in my heart because somebody got away with some benefit which I was deprived of. Even if I got promotion, still I don't like somebody getting promotion. I only should get, other fellow should not get. All kinds of stuff we have in our mind. So they say that this jealousy, you can identify with that person. In an interesting way, see, all the Yoga Shastras deliberate upon all these things very well. I'm not always jealous because somebody progressed. If my son gets promotion, I don't feel jealous. Do I feel? Or if a friend whom I love, if he gets success in his business, I'm happy. Meaning a person whom I love, if that person goes ahead, I don't feel jealous, I feel happy. Is it not so? So why do I feel jealous? Because I don't love. Now start loving. Suppose he's my brother. In your mind, establish he's my dear friend. He's my brother. See, if he's my dear friend, then I share his progress. I share his joy. So sharing the joy is the answer to this jealousy. Like that, there are very beautiful discussions there. But some examples of what we call pratipaksha, meaning that this requires understanding of the mind, and that you don't call it techniques, but the tools or techniques or the methods. See, tools and techniques words are not, we don't like them because that involves manipulation. Tools with that till you manipulate something. We are not manipulating the mind, we are educating the mind. And so, therefore the right way, how the mind really is, by nature, mind is kind and compassionate. That my mind is right now jealous is an unnatural thing. It's not its nature. I want to bring back to its nature. That's why it is healthy, that's why it can be long lasting. A tool and technique cannot last too long. But this will, because we are functioning based on the reality of life, the reality of mind. And therefore, if I become a kind person, it will be an everlasting thing. Because kindness is something natural to me. All values and attitudes that are taught to us are all based on our inherent nature. Right now we have become unnatural because of ignorance, because of identification, because of all kind of wrong notions, understanding. They want us to become natural, that's all. Natural is spontaneous. So when this is all done, now we are ready for the next step. So whatever is to achieve in a retired life, after retiring, this is the work that we have to do, understand? Not just sit there in that room and watch TV or something. This is the work that has to be done. Now what's the next stage? Sannyasa, renunciation. So in Vedanta there is a term called the Vividisha sannyasa. Vividisha. Veditum ichcha vividisha, desire to know is called vividisha. Vid means to know. From that san pratyaya, our Acharya will tell us all this, So how word vividisha, to root with, we add that sam pratyaya, desiderative, becomes vividisha. Vividish, name vividisha. So vividisha means vedana vichcha, the desire to know. That arises. Understand that desire always arises in our mind. We do not deliberately desire something. Understand this. It is not that I am desiring. It is that desire arises in my mind. Nobody desires to desire. It's not that now tomorrow morning I want to desire coffee or something. Or after 5 minutes, I don't know what my thoughts is going to be after 5 minutes. I don't know what next desire is going to arise in my mind. I don't have control. It just arises. So what kind of desire will arise in my mind depends on the composition of my mind. A tamasic mind, the desires will be for hurting and destruction and laziness, etc. A rajasic mind, desire for go-getting, enjoying, pleasure, etc. Sattvic mind. So depending upon the disposition of mind, those desires compatible to that disposition arise on their own. So in the mind of this person, the desire for knowledge has arisen. It's already there earlier, has become strong. Now the only desire is a desire for knowledge. That's all he wants. Then you must, as our Swamiji says, that if you seek help, when you need help, every desire is nothing but my need for help. So desire for knowledge also means that I need a certain help. I should go where that help is available. And that's the Guru. That will come next. Now this is all description, understand, is all based on the kind of situation that existed in the Vedic times or ancient times. And so literally all these things may not be applicable today, but we should know how ideally these things are and then how we fit into this kind of a setup. Meaning that it may not be possible for us to fit totally into everything that is described here, but if we understand the overall pattern and overall transformation taking place in the person, then we can see how the transformation applies to us in the situation in which we are. That work we have to do. So that is called mananam. So here in this class we listen to general principles. What these principles mean to me, that is the work I have to do. Then only it becomes relevant to me, then only I can put it into practice. Many things that we know but are not able to put in practice because we do not know what it means to me. So when the time comes, I can't connect the things. Like this milkman I had many years ago, every day he used to supply milk equal to 5 rupees a liter. And so at the end of the month he will get his his compensation. So put tick mark, how many days you came? 24 days in a month, 5 rupees a day. So I gave him, how many? I gave 120 rupees. I said, count. He said, count. 5, 10, 15, 20, 30. I said, hey, have you done the counting tables, multiplication tables? He says, yeah. So you know the multiplication of 24? Says, yes. 24 times 1 is 24, 48, 72. Then that is what you would apply here. 24 times 5, that multiplication. He says 5, 10, 15, 20. He does not realize that that multiplication applies here. You follow? So this is how what we learn in principle has to be translated into what it means to me in practical situation. If we do not do that, then very often we are deprived of the benefit of learning. We understand a lot of things. But unless we also know what those things mean to me, in various situations, then it's like the parrots repeating, beware of the hunter's net, beware of the hunter's net. On a tree there were a number of small little parrots, and there was an old parrot, and he saw from a distance a hunter is coming with his net, so he warned these little parrots, beware of the hunter's net, beware of the hunter's net, beware of the hunter's net. So all little parrots started repeating, beware of the hunter's net, beware of the hunter's net. Hunter came, spread the net, these fellows all got caught, and then they still repeat, beware of the hunter's net, beware of the hunter's net. What does it mean? What's the meaning of what I'm talking, what I'm repeating? So if that translation is not done, then that understanding does not come to use. So that part we have to do. So this is general pattern that is laid out before us. And yes, you can ask questions. That is where the questions will be. What does it mean to me? The question can be, Swamiji, what do you mean living home? And what do you mean bhakti? What do you mean sannyasa? What does it mean to me? I also want knowledge. And then what am I supposed to do? Or how can I do this? That's the question we ask of ourselves. So next instruction is Drudataram karmasu santyajyatam. Ashu means quickly. Drudataram firmly. Santyajyatam, give up completely. Karma, all the actions. Now renounce all the actions. Understand that he already have renunciate. Because he has been renouncing for a long time. Renunciation has been the way of this person's life. Spirituality in Vedic culture means renunciation. Tyage neke amrtatvamanashu. Tyaga or renunciation is always a spirit. They call it sacrifice. We call it self-offering. It's always a spirit. First we are told, kamye matis tyajyatam, give up kamya karma. Before that, give up nishiddha karma, give up all wrong actions. Give up papa karma. That is also renunciation. Kamye matis tyajyatam, give up all desire prompted actions. That's also renunciation. Nijagruhat turnam vinirgamyatam, create distance from your home, renunciation. Now final, Drudataram karmasu santyajyatam. Real renunciation is giving all ragadveshas, anger, all this is renunciation. Shantyadhi parichiyatam. May you all renounce your impulses, then you gain tranquility of the mind. So spirit of renunciation is there throughout. You follow? Because Upanishad Tyaga Neke Amrtatvamanashu, it was Tyaga or renunciation that many sages attained immortality. And so here now, further renunciation. Now renounce all your karma. But he has already renounced. He has renounced his home, he has renounced all the worldly duties. What remains to be renounced now? The only karma or action is performing are those religious actions. Pujanam, japa, chintanam. He is doing pujanam, doing japa, doing chintanam. All of this is worship of saguna Brahma. Brahma is Brahman or Ishvara with attributes. What is bhakti? Bhakti is worship of Ishvara with attributes. There cannot be bhakti of Ishvara without attributes. This Nirguna Brahma bhakti is not there. Bhakti is always of saguna Brahma. Devotion, offering can only be to something I can relate to. So Ishvara having attributes, omniscient, omnipotent, or like every devata has its own attribute. Lord Rama stands for dharma and righteousness, and Lord Krishna stands for love, and Hanuman stands for seva. So every devata has some. They all manifest of same Ishvara. But when a certain attribute is emphasized, becomes a certain devata. Lord Shiva is same Ishvara. But where renunciation is emphasized. Lord Vishnu is the same Ishvara, where glories are emphasized. Durga is the same Ishvara, where power is emphasized. Rama is the same Ishvara, where dharma is emphasized. Krishna is the same Ishvara, where love is emphasized. Hanuman is the same Ishvara, where service is emphasized. So it depends upon what touches me. The reason why we have such a repertoire of so many devatas is a great benefit. That's another problem that Indians have, this is Hindus have. And Hindus are the most ill-informed about Hinduism and carrying most misunderstanding about Hinduism also, and least appreciation about them. So poor fellows are always defensive, always apologetic. No, we are also like you, they tell Christians, and we are not like anybody, we are like what we are. Oh, you are worshipping so many gods. Yes, we are worshipping so many gods. So what do you have to say? Why do I have to be apologetic about anything? Yes, there are Rama is one, Krishna is another one. Whether there are so many gods or so many manifestations of one God, how can there be so many? One God, how can... Well, this is your father, right? Yeah. But your mother, who is he? Husband. To your grandfather, his son. To your uncle, his brother. To servant, he is a master. To his boss, he is a servant. Who is he? Is he father? Or husband? Or son? Or brother? What is he? He is everything. Well then, how can one person be everything? There are functional names. Same person is called father and will perform one function. He is called boss, performing another function. Manager. Son, performing another function. Called functional names. You follow? Playing different roles. So they are all functional names. Brahma is a functional name when Ishvara creates. Vishnu is functional name when he sustains. Rudra is functional name when he destroys. So when you emphasize a particular aspect, because Ishvara is everything, now you can't worship everything simultaneously. So you take one aspect with which you can relate, and that's how you connect yourself to Ishvara. Relate to him, and thus establish a relationship where you can make offering as an expression of your bhakti. Meaning bhakti can only be, worship can be only for saguna Brahma. Now comes nirguna Brahma. Nirguna Brahman can only be object of knowledge, as a self, nothing else. Saguna Brahma is object of knowledge as someone different from me, meaning in worship always a duality is involved between the worshipper and worshipped. Swamiji, when you are prescribing worship, that means you are prescribing duality. But it's duality to grow out of duality. Like a pole vault is meant to help you rise to a point so you can drop that pole. So all this bhakti is a way of relating Ishvara in duality so that you grow out of duality. So now a time has come where that pole is dropped. So you are performing special actions like puja, japa, etc. as acts of worship. Now they also have done their job by creating a strong desire for knowledge. And therefore now you don't need them. Let them go. This is very difficult. To let go all this puja, etc. becomes very difficult because there is emotion involved there. But so, durataram santyajyatam. Now you have to, because even that also is a distraction. The point is, what is meant by pursuit of knowledge is contemplation upon Brahman as myself. Contemplation, it is the knowledge of the one, the knower. It's a meditation upon meditator. In the words of Swamiji, is meditation upon meditator. Meaning the word meditator also has to go. And therefore all duality now has to drop. Therefore, even that duality, which was most desirable duality, between each worshipper and worshipped, even that also is to be dropped so that you recognize the oneness between the two. Dhurataram karma susantyajyatam. Now, once you are ready, then right away you give up all your karma, meaning even the rituals and things also should be given up. So Viveka Chudamani, if you study, this is described in a very emphatically. What is it? Vadantu shastrani, yajantu devan, kurvantu karmani, bhajantu devataha, atmikya bodhena vina vimukti, na siddhati, brahma shatantarati. You may repeat your Vedas, you may worship your devatas, you may perform your rituals. This is, even if you do this for millions of years, still also you cannot get knowledge. Now this sounds very cruel, but then the idea is that the time comes when you have to drop this. Not that there is a criticism of that. A time comes when you have to now grow out of everything. And therefore, now you apply yourself to contemplation upon the self. So that's the next step. Contemplation upon the self. That's the purpose of sannyasa. Ideally, a sannyasi's primary purpose is contemplation upon the self. It's called Atma Vichara. And how is it done? That we'll see. But then, sannyasa also, there also is a ritual for at this time. So sannyasa also is in two stages, by the way. One is sannyasa or renunciation, that takes place because of a ritual, which is a deliberate act that I am renouncing. You say that. So when you take the sannyasa diksha, that time you renounce everything. Say, all my duties are renounced, all my claims also are renounced. Meaning that I am not accountable to anybody and nobody is accountable to me. I have no claims also. Also, a sannyasi grants immunity from fear to everybody. That abhayam, abhayam sarvabhutebhyo dattva sannyasya. Just for your information, in sannyasa, one of the important vrata or the vows is a vow of non-injury, of granting immunity from fear. So it says that I grant immunity to fear to all the creatures on earth and on intermediate world, in heaven, everywhere. Nobody need to fear from me now. People are afraid of us when we want to grab something from them. When we claim something that they have, then people feel threatened. Nobody need to feel threatened from me because I have no claim on anybody. I don't compete with anybody. I have no claim. I have no rights. A sannyasi is, though even in India actually, a sannyasi has no right legally. No inheritance. These days you may claim, etc. is a different thing, but ideally, no inheritance, no right, nothing. And no possessions. You are a beggar. Official beggar. So it's called bhikshu, means beggar. So bhiksha means begging. But so our culture allows, we'll talk about that begging in the next verse anyway, but the thing is that, so when you know possession, then the society takes care of you. That was the setup there. We'll come to that in the next verse. But this person takes now to a life of renunciation, meaning, why is it to be done? Because in the ancient time, the gurus were always living in some remote locations, like in a forest, like on a river bank, like in some mountain, some place, which were very conducive for contemplation. So they were all holy places, not in the midst of city. And so we had to go to them. A student has to go to the teacher. Now you can't commute, because no means of commuting are there. It will take several months to reach there. So you can't commute every day. You go there means you stay there. You stay there means you are not at your home. No means, thank God, there are no cell phones, no communication, no internet, nothing at all. They are cut off completely. And that can be meaning that you are no more available to your family. And that you cannot do unless you give up all your claims from the family also. And that is called giving up responsibility and all. This is the sannyasa. is my vow that whereas I am renouncing all my responsibilities, I also renounce all my claims. I am no part of no system now. If I am a part of family, then I am accountable to family. Sannyasi is not part of anything. Not family, not society, not country, nothing. Really speaking, he is nothing, not connected to anybody. Theoretically. The sannyasi, Swamiji said, no roles. Everybody has to play roles. He has no roles. Other than at the most, if he goes to teacher, then only role is being a disciple. So far, a time will come when that role also will go. Guru Neva Shishya, Chirananda Rupa, Shivoham Shivoham. But right now, he is a sannyasi in making. So this sannyasa is taken out of will. By vidhi meaning is you go through a certain ritual or procedure to become a sannyasi, where the Guru gives you sannyasa. Leave home and stay with the teacher. So this is the purpose of renunciation, sannyasa. Is that now you have no connection with anybody because they have all served the purpose. It's not that you are cutting off things. You let go something when it has served the purpose, understand? There is no cutting off like that. It has served the purpose. So therefore, it just is let go, like letting go of that pole vault. So it is let go because it has served the purpose. Meaning that all responsibilities, everything that you are so far doing or karmas, all of them have served the purpose, and therefore now you let it go. Karma sandhyatam. Then what? What do you do, Swamiji? Become a burden to society? No. Now he has taken a greater responsibility. While he has given up worldly responsibilities, he has now taken a larger responsibility. Inasmuch as now his life is a life of contemplation, which is a very difficult life. Sannyasastu mahabaho dukkham aptam ayogatah. Lord Krishna says that if you become a sannyasi without the preparation or maturity, then it is all nothing but pain and sorrow. Because you are neither here nor there. If a sannyasi is the one who has grown out of all need for pleasure, because he has discovered a self-sufficiency within himself, and therefore he doesn't need anything to... No, he doesn't need any emotional support. Doesn't need any other ego support. Because he finds support from himself. So sannyasa is in fact expression of freedom. A freedom that one has discovered from oneself, where one is comfortable with oneself, one is happy with oneself, then only you can be a sannyasi. Because if I am not happy with myself, then I need all kinds of things to make me happy. And then it's better to be in home and better to be active person. Then you can legitimately seek help or seek those sources of entertainment, etc. Legitimate. When you become sannyasi when you don't need them. A sannyasi is a person ideally who has become free from all emotional needs. Otherwise you go to teacher and now you need a father and mother, then you become a burden to that. That's what happens, And ashram people come and then now you take care of them. Because there's this problem and that problem and this and all kinds of... But half of the Swamiji's time is to go in and counseling this fellow and that fellow. That's the reality of life because, where are Swamijis, where are the adhikaris? They are not there. You have to make them adhikaris. That means you have to perspire, you have to sweat to make them. That's what the Guru has to do among many things. Ideally, the sadhana in Chatur Sampatta is not there. It's only in the books. Swami used to say. In Nachiketa is there in the Upanishad. You don't find them here. That's a consoling thing, for us because, otherwise you feel very guilty. Then look at Nachiketa and look at my Sarare. Where am I, But when he says there is no Nachiketa, thank you, Swami. You feel all right. Next stage is now seeking the knowledge. Because now only thing left, only agenda you have is knowledge. So next one is Sadvidvan Upasrupyatam. So Upasrupyatam, may you approach Upasrupyatam. Upasarpanam. It's a technical word. Approach properly. See the translation? May you approach properly Sadvidvan. Vidwan means a knower. Sat means the truth, the knower of the truth, the wise man. So may you properly approach a wise person. Wise man, etc. Now you change the wise person. This is all masculine here, but now these days you can't the wise. What do you mean wise person? Wise man, Swamiji? All man? No, wise person. As it is, the majority will be, we will be, so we have to be unanswerable. If you go out, what do you do, Swamiji? Only wise man? There are no wise. They ask. When I went to a school and gave a big lecture about the ancient system of education in India and how at the age of 8 a boy is, is initiated in the sacred trade and Vedic learning and goes to the teacher, and then after all the lecture one girl asked, what about the girls, Swamiji? That's the first time I thought about it myself. I said, what about girls? That's right. I said, girls got their education at home. All right. I gave some answer. I don't know. I hope so. But here, approach properly a wise person. Properly approach means what? Not, what Swami says, consulting on telephone, Vedanta on telephone. People, Swamiji, people ask on telephone, internet, this, that, and a variety of. These days, of course, those days, the means were not there. But approaching the teacher properly, Lord Krishna describes that. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshante jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Or Mundakopanishad says, Tadvijnanartham sagurumeva vigachet samitpanihi shrotriyam brahmanishtham. Tadvijnanartham sa gurum eva abhigachet. Tadvijnanartham, for the knowledge of that, for the knowledge of self, gurum abhigachet, one should approach the teacher. There is an evakara. Gurum eva abhigachet, he must necessarily go to a teacher. Gurum abhigacheteva, he must necessarily go. See, necessarily can be attached to anything. He must necessarily go. He must necessarily go to a teacher, and he alone should go to a teacher, not somebody else. Meaning that only a qualified person should go to the teacher, and definitely go to the teacher only for, seeking the knowledge. Tad vijnanartham, for the knowledge of that, sa kurum eva abhigachet, he must necessarily approach a teacher. Abhigachet, properly approach a teacher. So what is proper? Samitpanihi, Upanishad says, Samitpanihi, with a bundle of faggots in his hand. What is, meaning dry twigs. So what does this fellow is? What does he doesn't have anything. But you should not present yourself before Rajanam Gurum Devatam Riktapananya Gaccheta. It is said in Sanskrit. You should not go empty-handed before a king, before Devata in a temple, or before Guru. You should not go empty-handed. Always bring some gift. What gift this person can bring? So as he's approaching, going towards, he plucks some dry twigs from the trees on the way and makes a bundle of that and presents that as a gift to the teacher. A teacher may be a person also who is performing daily rituals, and for that he requires some fuel, and then this is also useful to the teacher. But the idea is you bring some gift to the teacher that is useful to the teacher. That just shows your sentiment. And tadvidhi pranipatena, Lord Krishna says, when you approach the teacher, a long prostration. fall at his feet. Danda means what? Like a staff, straight. Idea is that you place your head at the feet of the teacher, declaring that my head is equal to your feet. Right now I am at that level. I have to rise to the level of your head. But for that I begin where your feet are. See, if an ant wants to reach my head, you start at the feet, isn't it? So also this shows the humility of this seeker or an aspirant who recognizes that here is a master and that he has to, a time will come when he will be able to perhaps become like him, but then he is a master with whom he shows great reverence and devotion. So this saluting prostration is nothing but symbolic of surrender. I surrender at your feet. Shishyasteham sadhimam tvam prapannam. Arjuna says to Lord Krishna, I am your disciple, I am surrendered to you, please teach me. Surrender means what's surrender? I don't believe in surrender. That's all ancient stuff, We believe in freedom and independence. So that's another thing, Shraddha, this faith. You can surrender only when you have when you trust that person. You should not surrender to anybody and everybody, by the way. You must check out between you and me. Check out whether that person deserves to be surrendered or not. Because if we just surrender thoughtlessly, it is quite possible that we can be taken advantage of, we can be exploited, we can be hurt. It happens. So it is not thoughtless surrendering, something that you feel like doing. When you're in presence of a master like that, your heart just wants to do that. Not love at first sight, like love at first sight. Something happens, within you that you feel like surrendering to the master. Meaning that now I am at your disposal. As Arjuna handed over the reins of his chariot to Lord Krishna, so also a disciple hands over the reins to the teacher. That's what is symbolized by his long prostration. Tad viddhi pranipatena. So this is the first step. But he said, it is not that in one day the teacher starts giving you lectures. Not those days, those teachers. Here, these days, the teachers are too eager to tell you, talk to you. They invite you, whether you want or not, and make you sit in front of them, a captive audience, and then they pour, what they have to say to you. Which is fine, I guess, for the 21st century. But those days, the teachers did not oblige right away. They really tested whether the person is deserving or not. In fact, there is a story in Prashnopanishad where the 6 scholars approach a teacher called Pippalada and express a desire to learn, and the teacher said politely that please stay for 1 year and live the life of brahmacharya, penance, service. After 1 year, ask me questions. If I know, I'll answer. The 1 year was there for them to tune up to the teacher. And for the teacher, so each one should know each other, each one should know the other. And really a bond should be created. Ideally, a bond should be created between the student and the teacher. That is what is open the channel of communication. You can't be a neutral listener and let's see what he has to say. That thing doesn't work here. It may work as far as political talks are concerned, other stuff, all intellectual stuff is concerned, scientific, it may be okay. You need not connect. You have no emotional investment. But here it doesn't work. Here it needs not only intellectual investment and emotional investment also on the part of the disciple. Because this is a whole person, because subject matter is you. Elsewhere, subject matter is something else. In all objective sciences, you are not connected with, you're talking about liver and lungs, and there's some conferences on, liver, lungs, pulmonary phalanx, this, that, whatnot. It's all that. It's all nothing to do with you. You have no emotional connection with lungs, So you can be very objective. So you need an objective mind to learn anything, As far as objective signs are concerned, your objective is they're all object. But here, you are the subject matter. And we are very subjective about ourselves. We are not objective about ourselves. They want us to become objective. But right now we are very subjective, very emotional about ourselves, having all kinds of complexes about myself. I'm so and so, so and so. That's all emotional stuff. That's the one that gets hurt. So I'm subjective. I'm not objective about myself. I may be objective about everybody else, but when it comes to me, I'm very subjective. All kinds of judgment about myself, all kinds of opinions about myself, complexes about myself. And teacher has to take those complexes and slowly enable me to let go of those complexes. All complexes are born of identification with the body-mind complex, and that is the final thing to be renounced. That's all the final product of ignorance. And this is it, but through teaching, teacher helps us to do that. So it's not a purely intellectual process. Emotion very much gets involved because emotional being is listening also. When I'm listening, I'm the whole person, I'm a whole package. Also my baggage is there. So this fellow with baggage is listening. And therefore here, an emotional bond also is important. You can't thrust emotional bond upon anybody, it has to happen. Love cannot be thrust or willed, love has to happen. So what you do, you bring gifts and you write letters and you bring gift and you meet and take them out and this and kind of courting you do, normally. To slowly discover that bond or create the bond. Here also you do that. So sevaya, you serve the teacher. Lord Krishna says, you approach the teacher. Surrender to him means accepting him as your guide and then serve him. Hands-on serving. Serving is those days because then teachers needed that kind of service. And teachers were also only that nothing with them. They live in a hut and then on the bank of some river or Ganges, and so you have to fetch water from the river. You have to climb down and climb up with pot full of waters on your head. That's the job of disciple now. That's all the menial work they have to do. Teachers are usually old people, they can't climb up and down anyway. So the young man has to do that. And he always needs massaging his legs, etc., because legs are all paining. So he can only go to sleep after teacher is asleep, and he must wake up before he wakes up because he must keep everything ready, warm water, get water, warm it up and keep everything ready. Go to community, get the bhiksha and feed the teacher. These days teachers feed the students, but those days students used to feed the teachers. Our Swami used to say today when we are studying, in Bombay, he used to go around getting donations and then creating, and supporting the ashram. So he was supporting us, he was feeding us. In the olden days, the Shishya used to go to community, bring the food and feed the teacher. And eat only if the teacher permits, otherwise no. If something is left for you, and if he says, now eat, then okay. Sometimes he may, depend on his mood. There's old people, with all kinds of moods out there. So you can, it's unpredictable. All part of training. Sevaya. So that's how you develop the closeness and bond, know each other closely. You have the chance to know the teacher, whether he walks his talk or not. That's what, talking is one thing, walking is a different thing. So how to walk the talk? So these are the lessons that we get, and that's how the student grows. Not only in the classroom, but overall. That was the purpose of living together. Anyway, sadvidvan upasrupyatam, approach the teacher, meaning that you discover in yourself a disciple, discover in that person a teacher. That discovery has to happen, and for that you do what is necessary to be done. Upadekshantide, Lord Krishna says that win over the heart of the teacher. So win over them. Prasannam tamanuprapya, Viveka Chudamani says, Pruchet jnatam, then please them. when the teacher is pleased with you, not with the dakshina, not with kind of work that you are doing. You can't please them because they don't need anything. You can please somebody when you give them what they need. These fellows don't need, so how do you please them? He doesn't need anything. Whatever you bring for him doesn't mean anything to him. So how do you please him? Only when he sees your sincerity. Here is a person who really wants to learn, and that pleases the teacher to no limit. So prasannam, when the teacher finds that you are the right one. So next one, tat paduka sevyatam. That step is already told here. May you worship his sandals. Paduka means sandal. So it is not that you even serve his feet, you serve his sandal. It is even lower than that. We said that we serve the feet of the teacher. Here it says, serve the sandal. Meaning that it's that humility, that I am just as at that level of a sandal. That's where I am. Means serve the teacher, not that you wash the sandal every day, or his footwear. No. Means you serve the teacher. Well, you said you serve his feet, or you serve the sandal. That's what I do every day. I wash his, No. And serve the feet doesn't mean only feet. Serve his head also. Serve everything. Serve teacher. And that's how you develop a relationship, a bond. And the teacher is an opportunity also to know you and recognize your sincerity. And when it's pleased with you, otherwise they don't entertain question. You cannot ask a question unless you have the permission to ask question, by the way. It also used to be a custom that you always seek permission. May I ask a question? Without permission you cannot ask a question also. When Sage Yajnavalkya approached King Janaka in his court, Janaka has to wait for permission from Yajnavalkya. Yajnavalkya says, so, is there something that you like to know? Then Janaka can ask. Once Yajnavalkya went and didn't say anything. He did not make any offer. Since Janaka cannot ask. Fortunately, some years ago, King Janaka and Yajnavalkya met in some other assembly and had a dialogue. And then Yajnavalkya asked Janaka some questions about Agnihotradi, and Janaka replied them, and Yajnavalkya was so pleased with knowledge of Janaka. They said, you ask for any boon. He says, I reserve my boon. I'll ask a question at a given time. So therefore, Janaka already had this boon. Therefore he could ask the question. Otherwise, unless you are told, see, you can't even. So when can you ask question? When the teacher is pleased with you. When the right atmosphere is created, that now is ready to answer your question. He is pleased to answer a question. Prasannam tamadu prapya pruched jnatavyam atmanah. When you find him prasannam, pleased, atmana jnatavyam pruched, then you should ask what is desirable by you, what it is that you want to know or want to know about the self. So that is why the next sentence is Brahmaikaksharam arthyatam. Arthyatam, prarthyatam. May you pray for, may you request. Brahma ekaksharam. See the translation. Brahma ekaksharam. Brahma means Brahman. Eka means one, non-dual. Aksharam imperishable. So here the teacher says that when you find that the teacher is ready, he is pleased with you, then may you ask about Brahman or God or Ishvara, who is what? One, non-dual, imperishable. Meaning that may you ask about Nirgunam Brahman or Nirvishesham Brahma. So you go to Vedanta teacher for that kind of a knowledge. Because knowledge means only knowledge of Nirgunam Brahman. And knowledge means knowing Brahman as one's own self. This is what is meant by knowledge, by the way. Of course, saguna, knowledge of everything, but here, when we say jnanam, jnanam is knowledge of Brahman. Which Brahman? Nirgunam Brahman as your own self. See, there is only one thing that is nirgunam or without attribute, without qualities, without attributes, without names, without forms. There is something. Only one entity which is nameless, formless, qualityless, attributeless. You know who is that? Where is that? Someplace in heaven? Father in heaven? Who is this? The self. How do you say Swamiji self is without any qualities? Without name, without form. Because I am the awarer of all the names and forms and qualities. The awarer or the subject is always different from the object. Ghatad drashta, ghatad bhinna. Like the standard statement is Ghatad drashta, ghatad bhinna. The perceiver of a part is always different from the part. Part is the object, the perceiver is the subject. Subject is different from the object. Meaning that I cannot become my own object of knowledge. I cannot objectify myself. I cannot split myself in two and be subject and object simultaneously. I can be only subject, and object is only object. Meaning that I am different from whatever it is that is object of my knowledge. Just as part is the object of my knowledge, so I am different from part. Please tell me, is the body the object of your knowledge or not? It is, I call it my body. Not only I can perceive hands and legs, but it's my body, is it not so? That means I am possessor of the body. And possessor is always different from what is possessed. So similarly, it is my mind. I call it my mind. So it shows that I am different from the body, different from the mind. Names and forms all belong to body. All qualities and attributes belong to body and sense organs and mind, and I am the knower, I am awarer. They are all objects of my knowledge. I am different from them. I am without them. In fact, I am also the knower of time. Is it not so? I am aware of time also. I am aware of space also. Meaning I am different from time. I am timeless. I am spaceless. I am attributeless. So there is entity. That is Nirvishesham, Nirgunam, Nishkalam, Nishkriyam, Shantam. That is a self. That's called Brahman. Meaning that Brahman or God, ultimately God has to be known as my own self. That will be the true knowledge of God. God is known as different from me also, as omniscient, possessed of different glories and attributes. There is also a knowledge. But the ultimate knowledge and the true knowledge of God, according to Vedantin, is when that God, who is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, is known as myself, as Nirvishesha, Nirguna, Nirakara. Because the self has no akara, body has akara, form. Self has no guna or qualities. My personality has qualities. Self is without qualities, without form, without name. Meaning that Brahman or Ishvara is to be contemplated upon as self. This is now Vedanta. This is where Vedanta comes. So far was not Vedanta, by the way. So what we discussed so far was preparation for Vedanta. What begins now is Vedanta. Brahmaikaksharam artyatam. Artyatam, prartyatam. May you pray for, may you request the teacher for the knowledge of Brahma. May you pray or request for the knowledge of Brahman. Adihi Bhagavo Brahma. So, thus we find in the text that aspirant approaches a master and says, Adihi Bhagavo Brahma. Oh, revered sir, please teach me about Brahman. Says Narada approaches Sanat Kumara, Adihi Bhagavo Brahma. Then Taittiriya Upanishad, Bhurvaivaruni Varunam Pitanam Upasasara Adihi Bhagavo Brahmeti Bhurvaivaruni Varunam Pitanam Upasasada Adihi Bhagavo Brahmeti. Sage Bhrugu, he became sage later. But when he was an aspirant, He approached his father who was also his guru. Those days fathers also happened to be gurus also. Varunam Pitaram Upasasara. He properly approached his father as guru. That those days, that difficulty, father-son difficulty were there in those days also, by the way, sometimes. So, sons were there, what they were. Like when Sanat Kumara, they say to be the sons of Brahmaji. So when Brahma, the creator, is creating the universe, his Manas Putra means that by just sankalpa of the will, this sage, Sanat Kumara, Narada, etc. are all created by will. So 4 Sanat Kumaras are created, and Brahmaji is busy in creation of universe, and he says to his children, please join me in the task of creation. He says, no, right there. He says, we are renunciates, we have no interest in karma. These fellows say, who are born. And Brahma is angry and get lost. They get lost. So it's going on from the time beginningless, this stuff here. But anyway, but here very often the father also is the teacher. Adihi Bhagavo Brahmeti. O revered sir, venerable sir, please teach me about Brahman. Meaning that you ask for this knowledge traditionally. Na prashtah kasyajit bruyat. This knowledge should not be imparted to someone who does not ask for it. Why is it a formality to wait for it? Well, when somebody asks means there is a value for it. Don't force your knowledge on somebody. Then you hear that he came. So you started talking about Brahma Vidya. After half an hour you come to know that he has brought his some astrological chart, Swami, do you see the chart? He has some different agenda. Therefore, you find out what his agenda is and accordingly you can relate. If his agenda is Brahman, then only you can teach him. So, Brahma ekaksharam, Brahman is ekam advitiyam, sadeva somidam agrasit ekameva advitiyam. All has reference to a different text. Brahman is one without a second. We'll talk about that. But the idea is that Brahman is also called Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Brahman is truth. So another name for God is Satyam, truth. Jnanam, knowledge, or intelligence, or consciousness. Anantam, infinite, whole, complete. So these are all the different also words which are used for describing God, if you want to say. And so, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam Brahma, Ekameva Dvitiyam, one without a second. Satyam is truth, and truth has to be one. Truth cannot be many. My truth and your truth. So they say, my God is like this and your God is like that. So that's what they talk about, my God and your God. Have you heard this conversation? When these fellows come, the missionaries and your God and, bring your God. So you bring a statue of Lord Krishna and there is water, see, your God gets down, look at my God. Then you bring a cross, a wooden cross. See, it floats. So my God is superior to your God. Or my God, and the God can be my God and your God and something, But then that's what people talk about, other people believe also. God is God. Well, your God and my God, there are not different gods. Satyam, Ekam, can be only one, cannot be many. Advitiyam, then, but the Vedanta goes a step further. Not only God is one, He is non-dual. Meaning, as the Swamiji would say, not only we worship one God, we worship only God. In our perception, there is nothing but Satyam, nothing but Brahman, Advitiyam, nothing but Ishvara, nothing but God. What is Brahman? Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. What is Brahman? That knowledge of that. Other knowledge already has. Other things already explored. This is now what he wants to know. Brahma Ekam Aksharam. Ekam means Advitiyam, non-dual. Aksharam means immutable, imperishable. Brahman means big, whole, limitless. So when you ask for that truth, that reality which is called Brahman, Bruhatvad Brahma. Bruhi Vruddho means that which is big, the big, which is limitless. So when you ask for the truth which is limitless, Anantam, which is Satyam, which is truth, which is non-dual, It's imperishable. Ask for that. So ask for the knowledge of that. Brahmikaksharam artyadam. So up to now is the task of the aspirant. Rest will be done by the teacher. So far, this is the highest in maturity. This is how far we can grow by our efforts. This is the highest in maturity that we have to gain. Rest then under the tutelage of teacher. Rest will take place. We'll see. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeri Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Hari Om. We will chant 15th chapter before we depart. So open your text, 15th chapter. Page number 19 in your handout.